Mr. Roboto, so I consider that a win.
JJ, there's a little thing at the bottom of my Discord screen that says a new account switching. Seems like they heard you.
Look, man, they would be wise to innovate and add a bunch of features right now as people are looking for a place to go that isn't Twitter.
True story.
Sure seems like it, huh? Welcome back to Shift F2, the support podcast for Shift F1. I'm Andy.
we should promote that. Ask them, sponsor their podcast with a ad account or something, and get them to read our podcast name.
They do that, don't they?
F2.
I forgot.
There are a bunch of people who I think are actual businesses sponsoring their podcast and just get their business name read all the time.
Yep. I absolutely believe that. I've heard the names read at the beginning of the Shift F1 podcast, and I'm like, oh, that's definitely just somebody trying to get their name out there. And that would be really funny. We should maybe look into making that joke.
I don't know how much it costs to get your name read by them.
The other thing we would have to do is actually record a couple episodes of a Shift F2 podcast. And I know very little about F1, and I know even less about F2.
Also, we should maybe approach them and say, we're not trying to infringe on your gimmick, man.
Yeah. This was a funny joke that I made at the beginning of episode 307 of We Were Gamers, a podcast this week about I think adulting a lot. Actually, there's a lot of adulting and less gaming, and which is why it's We Were Gamers,
It's true.
It's sometimes I think people will notice on the YouTube last week, I was here, I was in town, I was able to edit the podcast, but it was one of those weeks where it's just there's so much personal stuff going on, and I had work like real work that brings in stuff to do for others, and so just there's no photos on that week, and anyway, that's what it is to be We Were Gamers. Sometimes there's no photos, it is what it is.
Yeah, but let's get back to the important thing. Did you actually watch an F1 race this week?
Live? Does it matter if it's live?
No.
Okay.
People record sports games and watch them later. That's
See,
fine.
so
Michael, they're not in the States.
Michael, we've had this discussion before, I think. I don't think it's a spoiler for people to talk about sports, right? If I'm not watching it live and someone texts me, did you see that play? Or oh my gosh, the Broncos, or, that's not a spoiler to me if I haven't decided to spend the time to watch it live.
Yeah, I think as a sports fan, you have to accept that as the reality, right?
But there are people that don't.
I know there are. I was going to say, unless you're willing to just shut your phone off and ignore social media and the radio or televisions wherever you happen to be. You can put the work in to do it, but
it seems. Anyway, so I'm just taking the personal stance that I'm not going to be the person that's I recorded the live sport and therefore I don't want to know anything about it. Oh, why'd you tell me who won? So I follow F1 so that when I wake up and do stuff or whatever, I can know kind of what happened. And this past weekend I had to work during the Friday sprint and the Saturday, or what was it, Friday that was the sprint, or was it Saturday? No, Saturday. And I was working Saturday morning from 7 to 10. And then I had to go coach a soccer game because adulting. And so, yeah, it was cool to know what was happening. And then because of the results, I went back and watched the race. Yes.
Nice.
I think I would have blown off watching another race until Miami next week, unless something interesting had happened. And some stuff interesting happened. The Ferraris did not do so great.
Dude, Carlos Sainz, no good horrible, very bad day
Extends.
very bad season extends. Yeah, he literally does nothing wrong and gets completely taken out of the race on the first lap. It's just like two people run into each other behind him and they scoop forward and hit him, spin him around, and he's the one who gets stuck. The other two guys are fine and continue on their race. Like, that sucks.
Ugh, that's
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah, it was unfortunate to watch. And then his teammate trying to go for tough racing in the rain, in the wet, ends up in the wall.
Yeah, it was
from third place and then down to ninth or something like that.
Yeah, and then he recovers to like 6th or something by the end.
Yeah.
But like, that unforced error there. Instead of just taking the L and getting third, now he lost a ton of points because he was trying to pass the second place guy, which maybe he could have done. Who knows? But
Yeah. I had some questions for you based on the race. One, will a Haas car ever do anything more than start in a position and lose places?
damn, why you got to be like that? Why you got to do Kevin Magnussen that way?
I won't do K-Mag that way. He must be racing his heart out to be placing in the top 10 every time he actually finishes, right?
I mean, if the really thing there is that the qualifying session was so weird with it being wet, and he put in a really good lap, and then a bunch of other people got screwed over by red flags, right?
Yeah.
And so you could argue that, like, had that not happened or had it been dry, a bunch of things would have been different, and he probably would not have started so high up, right? And then he holds his place through the sprint race in a lot of instances. And then, for the actual race, what is he going to do? Like, these other cars are probably actually faster than him, and the race is long enough at this point that, what are you going to do?
Yeah, eventually you lose a few spots.
Mm-hmm.
No,
but hey, points.
He did great, and I enjoy him getting a high position is one of the reasons I watched the race, obviously. But this is the season of proving, like, if you finish is the important thing, right? Like, oh look, Verstappen number 1 by like 30 seconds because they finished the race.
Yeah, it turns out that finishing the race is really important to getting points.
Yeah.
And if you don't finish, you don't get any points. That's
wow.
It's a lot.
Wow. You know what else you don't get if you don't do? You don't get money if you don't provide services. I.e., if you go to a restaurant and then you just continually say you're out of things, that's generally not how you get business. I went to a restaurant, a fancy one, this past weekend, and the food there was decent, and the atmosphere was good, and the company was great. But it happened so many times on the menu that things were gone that I started to wonder why they had opened or why they didn't have a printed menu. And we got into a conversation with the waitress, and she said, well, it's Sunday, so we just didn't get any shipment. And my mind sort of melted a little bit.
Yeah, like, if you just literally don't have stuff, you kind of have to tell people, otherwise.
Well, and it started out with, like, we ordered oysters, and one type of oyster showed up after we had gotten an entire spiel about how there were two types of oysters. And we asked, and then we found out, like, oh no, they were out of the other one. And then we ordered another round of plates and was like, oh yeah, we have that, but we didn't have this part of it, so we didn't substitute it. It was like, okay, this dish said it has mussels on it. Oh no, it just has one mussel and we replaced the rest with clams. I was like, okay, oh, let's order the duck. Oh no, we don't have any duck. It got to the point that when they started suggesting we order certain things, it was like, you're suggesting we ordered that because it's old.
Or it's the only thing they have. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't remember. I can definitely remember going to restaurants and them being like, yeah, we don't get fish on this day, and therefore we don't have this fish, or this fish. And they would tell you at the beginning of the meal, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've definitely been to, like, restaurants that are super, like, farm to table, and their, like, shipments are Wednesdays, and you're there on a Sunday, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to have this salad, and this thing over here is not going to be in at all. Totally.
When do they tell you that, though?
Yeah,
Usually when you're right up front.
Yeah, when you're about to order.
Yeah. That was a new experience, I think, post-COVID, of just restaurants just being like, whatever, we'll deal with it if they order it. I couldn't believe it.
Did this place have like a very expansive menu or something?
No, one page.
So that's the crazy part. Like, I could get if you had, if you're the Cheesecake Factory or whatever, and you have a menu that's literally 50 pages long.
Funny story. I went to the Cheesecake Factory in the same weekend. They had everything.
Yep.
Yeah, well, when you have a 50-page menu, you rank higher on the bulk shipping.
Well, I finally noticed that Cheesecake Factory, even though things are in different spots on the menu, it's the same thing, just with a different top on it. So, like, yeah, there's only one angel hair pasta in the pasta section, but in other sections, they use the angel hair pasta with the same sauce, and they just put different meats or whatever on it,
Yeah, there's a billion of those. Like, they combine the beans and the cheese in 4 different ways, right? And they're 4 different items or whatever. Yeah, totally. But like, for a restaurant that is like has like one menu that is not that long, if they're out of a ton of stuff, they should be telling people. That's like deception at that point, right?
Sure. Yeah, if you sit down and like wanted to order the duck, right? Just not gonna happen.
Or did order the oysters and only got half of what you thought.
That's the thing that bothered me the most. That was my main gripe. Well, like, I'm not even an oyster guy. I ate one. The rest, and I just to have it and try it and be like the thing. But like, they ordered oysters because the people at the table liked oysters. And then they showed up and was like, wait, these are all the same size. Like, I thought some were large and some were small. And then, I'll ask the kitchen. And then by the time you finish the oysters, they come back and they're like, yes, we were out of the other type. It's like, oh, clearly you were. Like, that's my food gripe. I'll say something positive to end that story. I had grilled octopus and it was amazing. Very crispy, charbroiled outside, soft inside. Wonderful.
Octopus is a great one too, because it's one of those ones that when you do it just right, it's so good. And if you mess it up, it tastes like rubber.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they knew how to cook it, just didn't have anything to cook. I heard somebody else has a food gripe though.
Yeah, I got something to complain about. I'll start by saying that the place I went was actually really good. I would take the both of you there, maybe without the wives, just because their gimmick is that the food is super spicy.
Oh, I was like waiting for the gimmick that would only be for men, but I guess that makes sense.
For our particular wives. But it was a spicy Korean noodle place.
Oh, give me that.
It's down by UCI. The food was very good. We got a couple of noodle dishes. We got some spicy bulgogi. But my gripe was that their ranking system for how hot the food is starts at, it had 4 levels. There was very mild, original, and very hot. Right. So given those four levels, you would make some assumptions about the heat of the food. But they tell you when you sit down, the mild is very spicy. We recommend if you're not a huge spicy food fan that you start with the very mild. And so all of us who went were fans of spicy food, and so we got the mild, and there was some sweating going on at the table.
Okay, so they were serious.
Yes,
the mild
they were
was
very
actually
serious.
spicy.
Yes, the mild was actually spicy to the point where it's like I would not enjoy 2 levels of spice or even 1 level of spice higher than this.
Was it flavorful spicy when you're still sweating like that?
Okay, it was very flavorful, like the make you want to keep eating kind of flavor and spice. But I have issue with that being your ranking system. It's like maybe just reorder it.
Yeah, you're not being cheeky. You're being annoying.
Yeah, I get the idea that they're telling you, like, look, we crafted this dish up here. That's what original means, you know? But, like, keep original there and make the one below it hot.
Yes.
And then the one below that mild or whatever, right?
Exactly.
However you want to drop down the tiers. Like, if you need to make it clear that the chef's vision is up here, cool. Call that original. And then add, crazy spicy on top of that. Because, like, when you told me that, despite what they said, when you tell me that ranking, I'm going to be like, well, Don't I Want the Original?
Uh-huh.
Was anyone brave enough to do it, or did you all?
No, so it's kind of the servings are family style, so they bring it out in a giant bowl and then you just sort of scoop it into dishes. So we had to all agree on the same level.
No, okay, that's a different answer then, because I'm not going to subject anyone else to my pain.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and it was one thing for us being in the restaurant and having the person tell us that, but if we were just, say, ordering online, which happens a lot more during COVID times, we wouldn't have known.
No, you would never have known.
Oh yeah, you would have ran into a real bad time.
You would have ordered a nuclear bowl of noodles.
Exactly.
I do have a food-related discussion. I just remembered.
Go
for it.
Oh no, wait. Did you have more you wanted to talk about?
No, other than you guys will have to check this place out.
I think that it's...
Send me the name of that place.
Oh, I will.
I think that it's... we need to have a department of code management in our food crimes court, and that would be filed to the people rating the restaurant A, B, C, or D, and that's against code. You gotta label honestly, even if you keep original as super hot.
Yeah, totally agree there. We did also go out to eat this past weekend.
Wow, it's like it's allowed.
I know. And we went to a restaurant near us called Momo Paradise. I'm not clear if it's a chain or not. It might be.
Okay.
And it is, I'm trying to remember, they use a specific name and I don't remember which one it was, but it's like a shabu shabu or sukiyaki kind of place.
Yeah.
Except that they, so when you go to those kinds of places, they have the little stove on your table, and they set the pot on there. A lot of them do the like divided pot, so you can have two flavors.
Sure.
And then the deal with this place is it's all you can eat, and that's usually not what you want in a lot of instances, right? But
I don't know for like Korean barbecue and shabu, I do.
For Korean barbecue, it's really great because there's like only 4 cuts of meat or whatever you want. And so I can totally see it for like this, right? They really only had 4 offerings of meat, 1 pork, 3 beef, and 3 different beef cuts, right?
I definitely used to get all you could eat shabu.
Yeah, and it was great. I don't know if it's an issue, but the thing that was unique to me was the choice of broth. There were 4 choices of that as well. But you have a pot of only 2, so you're not going to be able to try all 4.
Right. Unless you get a split pot.
The split pot is split 2 ways.
Oh, okay. It's already a split pot. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And so then the options are like, I think original, which is like, I don't know. We didn't get it. There's a sukiyaki flavor. There's a tonkotsu flavor. And then the 4th one is something else that I also forgot. It may have been a miso. Yeah. And so it's like, well, and then the waitress is like, look, these 2 are the most popular ones. Just by the way, if you haven't been here before, just so you know, these are the 2 probably that you want. She was totally right. They were really good. And then from that point, you just order off the menu. They bring you as much of the various kinds of meat as you want. But for all the vegetables and stuff, it's like a self-serve, all-you-can-eat buffet bar.
Oh, interesting. I kind of like that.
So if you want rice, you want, radishes, carrots, tofu, all that kind of stuff is just sitting on a buffet over to the side, and you could just go over there with your little plate, or they have little bowls and plates over there, and you could just fill up whatever you want, bring it back, throw it in the soup for cooking and eating. I liked that they had the rice even self-serve over there, because I know I like to have rice with some of these meals sometimes, and usually they have to get it from the kitchen and it takes them forever because they're like busy bringing meat to all the tables and they forget about the rice. So I thought it was super nice that they just had rice there. Like they even had like a pot of curry if you wanted to put curry on your rice. And it's like, this is like curry and rice. Like this is the wrong meal. What am I doing? It's not. That's a different meal.
Where's
am I doing?
My katsu?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have the beef, you could cook it. It's not going to taste right because it's not going to be katsu. But yeah. So anyway, that was it was really good. highly recommended if people find one of those. Momo Paradise.
Cool.
And not terribly expensive. So
Wonderful. Gosh, we sound like adults, so we might as well continue adulting here. Because only boring old people will talk about food this long. So I did a new thing. I wanted to know. I did a new thing. I towed something.
like a trailer
we bought an SUV. Months ago, I think on this show said it was really cool to install my own tow hitch on the car, and with the full intention that eventually we would tow something. I've never towed something before. I had to tow a trailer this last week. It was fun and exciting. I felt like a true adult.
Did you have the nightmare of having to reverse it and then just being unable to do that?
I absolutely did, but I will tell you, modern conveniences are really cool. One, reverse cameras.
Yeah, that's probably helpful.
That ball is right inside the reverse camera, and I can watch as I put it right underneath the hitch for the trailer. No problem, right? You didn't have to get out and look ever. You just sort of like, oh, then the ball is underneath. I can see it. And then while reversing, it's real easy in a modern car to be able to see either with the reverse cam or with the like top down camera that I now have, where it takes all the cameras and makes like a top down view of the car.
Yeah, the like 360 degree view or whatever they call that.
To actually like figure out which direction the trailer's going to go. I mean, some trucks now have like a little dial, and you just turn the dial and the car drives itself as you tell it which way you want the trailer to go. The nightmare only got me one time, and then you kind of get it after that in a modern car. It was pretty cool. I feel like a true adult.
Big trucks and big trailers even have systems that like let the reverse camera end up on the back of the trailer.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You can see where that thing is going too.
Yep. Yeah. I don't have that fancy of a thing. I only have like the 4-pin brake light system. I don't have the like brake controller yet. We have to have
as required by U.S. Department of Transport.
Right. Correct. Yeah. So that's my adulting moment. Michael?
Nice.
Yeah, we saw a thing, and we've passed it by twice now, and still cannot make any more sense of it than we saw it the first time. So we were out for a long walk on one of the trails by our place, and part of the trail winds through some neighborhoods, and you can see a little bit over the walls into the backyards of houses that are along the trail.
So you're spying on people. Got it.
I mean, like you do.
That's adulting.
This one particular house, they had decided to build a shed on the side of the house. Nice little DIY project. So the roof of the house is pitched downwards to the side, and it's got a gutter at the end of the roof. And then the idea was to tuck the shed underneath the eaves of the gutter.
Yeah, okay.
But right?
Okay.
Pretty standard.
Very, very skinny shed, probably.
Yeah, there's a lot of those that are like side of the house sheds. Our neighbor has one.
Right. So if you were going to put a shed underneath your pitched roof, with or without a gutter, and also have the roof of the shed be pitched, which way would you pitch the shed roof relative to the house?
The only correct answer is away from the house.
That is not the direction they pitched the roof of the shed.
Okay, so the other answer is like to the sides of the shed. So you have a high point in the middle of the shed.
That would be parallel to the house, I guess, in your estimation.
Yes.
Right. So theirs pitches in a single direction back towards the house.
That's insanity.
That's
and extends out beyond the edge of the roof.
So it's catching the water from the roof if there weren't a gutter.
Right. And even with a gutter, it catches its own water.
Right, yeah, because it's out past where the roof stops.
Is it taller than the roof?
At the highest point, yes, I think it is. It's just taller than the edge of the roof.
I wonder if it doesn't fit underneath.
Yeah, it might not have.
That might be why it's oriented that way. Because it doesn't fit underneath.
That's some bad planning.
It sure is. Tape measure. Measure twice. Buy once.
Yeah, man. Sheesh.
That,
Do you think it was wholly made by them, or was it a kit or something they bought? Like, how professional does it look?
It's hard to tell. It looks relatively professional going by the quality of the door and the side of it.
I dislike that we live in a state where it doesn't rain enough that they'll be punished for this.
And maybe that's what they're banking on.
Yeah.
Because, like, if that happened enough times in a place where it rained, they would be ruining the side of their house.
Yeah, I was going to say they would know real quick because, like, they'd get water damage, or that side of the house, like the paint and stuff would start.
The stucco would start to absorb water at a certain point as they're just pouring water on it all the time. Yeah. What, how far is it to their house from where you stand when spying on them?
20 yards? 15, 20 yards?
We got to figure out how to make a paper airplane that could go fly 20 yards. Because we should just do a little Rick and Morty drawing on how to turn the shed around the proper way and then send it over the fence.
I think the other thing is, unless the inside of that shed is some kind of like water storage and filtration thing, and they're intentionally trying to capture rain, which I highly doubt because that's an insane way to do it.
Well, you don't want roof rain anyway.
Yeah, that's not the rain you want, right?
I mean, you can capture
any good reason to do it this way.
You could capture it for watering plants, I guess, but even then, it's suspect.
You just use a gutter, man. That's what the gutter is for.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, a while ago, I think maybe on the Star Trek podcast, we talked about Rick and Morty a little bit, and I said that I wasn't super into the idea of that show. The animation kind of turned me off. I think, JJ, you said the same.
I have watched a good bit of Rick and Morty, though.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit of it because it's on HBO. I have to say I still don't enjoy the animation, but the story is fine, and it's relatively funny once in a while. I use it as doing paperwork background noise now.
That's sort of where I've landed on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of those where like there are like very, very light ongoing serialized kind of things.
Very light.
Barely matter and like would require you to pay way more attention than it's worth.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Anyway, that was just an aside to get us to another animated topic. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, the only thing the internet is talking about since people have stopped playing Elden Ring.
A lot of people still talking about Elden Ring, but just not me.
Well, especially after that last patch.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to get back in trying that patch, but there's so much to play. It's very daunting.
Lot. I mean, you could start playing Overwatch 2 as of tomorrow.
Is that coming out?
Open or closed beta? One of the betas comes out tomorrow after an announcement, 5 years ago?
Yeah, I was going to say completely unheralded.
Yeah.
Totally
I think that might be on purpose.
You still like the idea of PvE Overwatch?
Yes, it very much so. Although I think the beta may not have any of the PvE in it.
All right, well, nothing for me to see here.
Just
also,
Diablo Immortal, same thing.
I was just about to say, LOL, Diablo Immortal also coming to PC, despite the disastrous launch being like, what about phones, guys?
Yeah. Why would I play Diablo Immortal while you're making Diablo 4? Or are you telling me Diablo 4 is dead? And Diablo Immortal sure looked like Diablo 3. So what are we doing here?
Diablo 4 is 5 years away still. I think that's what they're saying.
Yeah. What are we doing here? Actibliz? Talk about a studio that just does not seem to know. It's weird to talk about that company. They just seem lost.
I don't know. Maybe the buyout will help them in the eventual end.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Star Wars is what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, so JJ, you started playing.
Yeah, my wife and I decided to get into it. We wanted to do co-op.
Oh, very cool.
I have a main question I have to know the answer to right now.
Yes.
Camera controls in co-op. Start there, please, God.
They're separate. It is literally a split screen.
Hallelujah.
It does not do the thing like it used to do where you could like run into and out of the same screen anymore. No more of that. There's just a split in the screen, two separate screens.
They have learned.
Even when your two people are standing right next to each other, two separate screens.
I don't know why they resisted this for so long.
To be fair, early on it was very cool and it worked fine. But as those games got better and bigger, it got worse and worse.
It actually was more frustrating early on when the games weren't great and you would get stuck places. And so one person would never be able to see their character unless they backed out of the game.
Yep.
Yeah. The camera stuff was a problem. Like the control of the camera was a problem. But yeah. I think so you can definitely still get stuck in stuff or like the camera is facing a wall and you can't see anything or whatever. But you can just move the camera on your own little screen. No big deal.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Okay. You know what? Thinking about it, I feel like they had to do it that way because of some of the abilities that you can use to like zoom in to select targets. There's no way you could have done that because they went with the over the shoulder.
I was going to say for a lot of the characters that have guns, I think that I don't know how you would do the aiming of those guns with those characters without doing this.
Right.
But yeah, it's really fun. I will say, not as stable as I would like. I've had several crashes, quite a few.
Which
on what
platform?
system? Yeah.
PC.
Huh. Okay.
Interesting.
So, to be fair, I am doing something slightly unusual in that I am stretching the resolution across two monitors.
Oh, to have two separate screens for you two?
Yeah, if you set the resolution right on both monitors, I mean, I'm playing the game in a supported windowed mode, right? I stretch the screen, I stretch it to be big, lengthwise across both monitors and height-wise, where it needs to be. And the split ends up right in the middle of the two screens, and you don't really miss much, except for then when it goes into like the cutscenes and stuff, which then get placed in the split between the two.
Oh, yeah.
It's not who cares? Like I've seen the cutscenes in Star Wars. It's not a big deal. It's not like you miss much, really. Like, yeah, it's a little like weird to see the half of the character's face on this side and half on the other side. But it honestly, you don't notice it that much once it gets going. And like you can read the text very easily across. It's not a problem. But then, and then once the gameplay gets going, we have two full normal sized 1080p screens of Lego or whatever.
So how many crashes per hour are we talking about? Is it worth it to have done all this work and still get the crashes?
I mean, the configuration takes me like 30 seconds or something once I knew what I was doing. It's not hard to set up. And like, maybe like maybe one crash an hour is maybe too high. I don't know, half a crash an hour.
So every 2 hours you get a crash?
Depending on I feel like it depends on what we're doing. Like I don't have any rhyme or reason as to why the crashes have happened.
Huh.
Yeah, mine has crashed on me once. And I don't know why.
But I will go ahead and tell you, since this game appears to be an infinite fest of grinding.
It's as Lego want to be.
it is real helpful to have someone else do stuff while you're doing stuff, man. It's just like, hey, I'm gonna go over here and break every bench and every plant and everything that I see and get coins while you go find this brick. And then I find 3 bricks on the way, and then you find 2 other bricks and like all this stuff. It's like we would be nowhere in this game if we weren't playing together. So it's been really fun. Like I really am enjoying the like extremely mindless nature of it.
And compared to, you've played more recent Lego games, and Michael seemed to think this one has by far the best recently.
I haven't played a ton of the most recent ones. Like I think the Lord of the Rings ones and the Hobbit ones were the last ones I played.
Mm-hmm.
But I like it. Like I like it quite a bit. We're having a great time. We started at episode 1, so we're doing that order.
That's
we
fun.
We have completed episode 1 and then like barely started episode 2.
That's cool.
And then, still have a billion collectibles left all over.
Oh, yeah.
Not even close. I still think there's a bunch of classes we haven't technically found. Like we have characters in them, but we don't have we haven't gotten the tutorial for how to do any of them yet.
Yes, and I think that's done intentionally because I definitely have some areas that I can't access because even though I have someone in that class, the ability itself hasn't been unlocked yet.
Yep. I definitely have like characters in a class and it's like, use this class because I see the symbol for it. And then I get them out and they're like, I'm just standing here. What's up, man? And you're like,
it still shows the symbol for this isn't the right character.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I definitely have quite a bit of that going on.
Yeah.
But it's fun, like I said, and like, I'm sure once I get to the point where one of those characters enters the real Star Wars story, you'll unlock it and they'll give you the tutorial, right?
Yep.
Just not there yet.
Nice.
I'm curious, JJ, does your menu have the same issue that the Switch menu does where things you mark as red don't stay marked as red?
I have not been marking a lot of things on the menu, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
I've been, I track a mission, and then go do that and then kind of like look what's around me and then do that. I haven't really had a lot of, I haven't like been trying to like focus on anything in particular. It's just kind of like, I don't know, let's wander around this town and we want to get to 1 million so that we can unlock the first thing that doubles it so that you get 2 million. And then
I just unlocked that. It is very helpful in cutting down the grinding and the fact that there are higher levels that all stack.
Yep. So we unlocked the first 1 million one the other night, and we're already almost halfway to the next one because the multiplier is really good. Got to get those bricks, man.
Yeah. That's the story of all of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Michael, you tried out a new game?
Yeah, I did. So I was, where was I? I must have been served a notice on Twitter from one of the Nintendo accounts that I follow.
Okay. Woo.
We'll leave that.
Hold on
for another conversation.
You said served a notice, and we are all adults here, and I thought, why were we playing video games at court?
Well, who knows with the way Twitter's going these days.
Womp womp.
Sorry, continue.
No worries. So yeah, I saw just a brief description of a top-down dungeon crawler that was supposedly inspired by some games that you guys might have heard of, Eye of the Beholder, Dungeon Master, and Legend of Grimrock.
Dungeon Master. I know that one.
Yeah, so it takes that same dungeon crawler style, but shifts the perspective to be top down, kind of like Link to the Past. So I looked it up, just intending to. Well, I looked it up to see if it was going to be on PC, and saw that not only was it already out on Steam, it was on sale for $1.75. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy this and see if it's any good. And it's entertaining. It you are working your way downward through 100-floor dungeon, trying to get to the bottom. And
Okay.
every room has its own set of enemies and traps and puzzles, and you have to figure out how to get to the next staircase down.
So
Sound
almost like
is this game just exactly Rogue? Because I think that's how Rogue works. It's a 100-floor dungeon, and you go down, and then you get to the bottom, and you come back up.
I don't know if you come back up, but yes.
Okay, cool. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's been entertaining. The puzzles are fun. They do a good job of not making it strictly linear downwards. There are some puzzles that you have to backtrack a couple of floors
That's interesting.
to manipulate something else, or to drop an item down through a trap door, or because your sword gets stolen and you have to chase the enemy back up a couple of floors to get it back.
That's pretty
So
sweet.
it's well conceived. I think I played for about 3 hours and I'm somewhere in the 70s. So it's a pretty quick game. But you know, for less than $2, it's been entertaining.
That's pretty sweet.
can't beat that amount of value. $2 for 3 hours.
Yeah. So Dungeons of Dreadrock is the name of it.
Speaking of rogue and roguelite-ish type games, I think Rogue Legacy 2 is coming out of early access to 1.0 release next week, later this week. Something like that.
Cool.
Okay.
Did you guys ever play Rogue Legacy, the original one?
I did not. I may probably have it on one of those services now that has given the original away for free.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's very likely you both own it at this point. Roguelite in that, there's progression and stuff in between runs.
I definitely
The
have it on my
dungeon is
Steam.
procedurally generated. There are 4 bosses, but the rooms that all connect them are crazy and different every time.
Yep.
The hook of the first game, and my understanding the second game as well, is that it's like a lineage. Your entire family bloodline is cursed at the beginning of the game, and you have to, the quest is bequeathed to beat the final boss of this castle or whatever on to every subsequent heir. And when you die in the dungeon, your next of kin carries on, and they have different traits and different things about them. It's like, oh, this one is tall, but this one is nearsighted, and this one can jump really high, but this one floats, and like all this other kind of like weird stuff. The first game was super cool with all that like random generation and like, oh, you can collect, better armor sets and better weapons. And then eventually you get like runes, and, meanwhile you're collecting all this gold that you spend after your death on upgrading your castle that like, gives you more powers and more abilities and new classes and all this sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really liked that original game. And I'm excited that the second one is coming out finally. I'll probably end up playing that someday. Not soon, but at some point.
Man, that's a lot going on.
Very cool though.
I'm into that. I have the original, so it's out there.
The original's still a great game. Really fun. Kind of like really I forget what that game had a really cool system where you could always like, you have a button that would let you dash. It's 2D, I guess I should say, like side scrolling. And but you can actually go up and down in all the directions. And the dash works anytime, like also, so it's an air dash too.
Oh, okay.
So you would have to get like, and you press the other button on the other side and you dash that way. So it's like you could dash like left and then right, like kind of.
Can you like ping pong yourself back and forth, or does that have to
there was a
reset?
limit. There was a limit to how much. Maybe there were like certain items or runes or something you could get that would let you dash more and more. But I don't remember, honestly. It's been years since I played that first one.
Yep.
And from my understanding, the second one just has like even more bonkers amount of stuff that you can mess with. So
I think there's just too much. I'm starting to get to the point of like hearing these types of things. Like I should add that. I'm going to download that right now and check that out. And then I look in here. It's like, oh yeah, that inscription update hit. The Master Chief's downloading an update. What's that about? Oh, they're updating to like, there's no more seasons in this, and I'm downloading all the old season stuff. And Vampire Survivors has an update queue, and it's just
I did finally crazy. Run a couple more runs of Casey's mod as well.
Yeah.
I won one finally.
What's the story situation?
Oh, nice.
Extremely light.
Oh, that's a bummer.
There is text logs and some very like little information happening during the battles, but like there's text logs and stuff that you can read outside of the battles, and you have to win a run to unlock that stuff. Well,
I have unfortunate news for you guys. In this time next week, all you'll have to hear me talk about is the new. Oh no, he won't be out by then. Dang it! I was gonna say Warzone's adding Godzilla and King Kong, and that's all I was gonna talk about. But they don't add them till May. Oh well, it was only.
I would be interested in hearing that.
I know, right? It sounds interesting to me too. Oh well, I thought it was gonna happen tomorrow.
So now all of you have played Inscription, so I can safely mention something about Casey's mod. They have new sigils.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That were not in the base game, some of which are really messed up.
Like messed up, cool and fun?
Maybe, I don't know, but also really no.
Broken. Do you get to use them?
Yes.
Okay, then they're good and fun.
Also, they are used against you in ways that suck.
I mean, that's fine. But as long as I get to fight back.
Remember how I think all of us ended up killing the moon with poison?
I did not, but you guys did.
I did, maybe. Yeah, I think I did. Or I think it was poison. I can't remember now. I killed it in one hit with something.
So either you had a monster that was like a million with Ouroboros, or a poison thing that killed it in one hit.
I think I cut it.
Oh yeah, you could maybe use the scissors.
I think I'm trying to remember if I used the scissors. I think I did, or we talked about whether it was possible. Okay, anyway, go ahead. Talk about the moon.
So the moon has a sigil now called Hardened.
Immune to poison.
Immune to poison. Son of a bee.
Say goodbye to your cheese strats.
Gotta focus on Ouroboros.
Poison. So you don't get Ouroboros. Like, there's no guaranteed cards anymore. That like not guaranteed cards like that.
Does you have your starting deck keep its stats between runs?
I've only seen Ouroboros once.
Oh, ouch.
So couldn't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely keeps its stats during a run.
Okay.
I can tell you that much.
Okay.
So if you get into situations where it's easy to get it down and kill it, and get it down and kill it, get it down and kill it, maybe it would still be really good on that run.
Okay.
One of the other new sigils is it looks like an egg. And when you play it, across from it, if it can, it generates a 0-1 broken egg. Okay. So like
what comes
on the opponent's side, nothing.
Huh.
The egg is broken. It doesn't do anything. It just sits there.
It just blocks them from putting something in that square.
But, it can be useful if you play it and, because you can see one turn ahead on the enemy and you see something coming in that you don't want to deal with.
Right.
Egg.
Nope, blocked.
See you later.
The only problem then being, if you attack, you're going to hit the egg and then, the thing may have a chance to come down. But maybe you also hit the egg and kill the thing behind it.
Yeah, I was going to say you can trample.
Overflow it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or you get a flying thing with egg.
Oh.
And then they're just pinned there forever. I had a really great run where I had several things with egg, and some of which my things had flying. And that was a wonderful feeling, just being like, well, I have clogged your board with eggs. You don't get to play anymore. I'm going to win. One little peck of a crow at a time. So it's very cool. Yes, right? Just grinding out victory as slow as possible.
Yeah.
You do have to worry about running out of deck, though, in that there is a mechanic that will get you if you run out of your deck.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a very cool game. And like I said, I've been enjoying playing like a run or two of that here or there, but not like a ton of it. And then like the problem is I do really well and I think I'm on a good run. And it's like, all right, I can last one more turn. And then like I count wrong and I die to damage. And it's like, no, I had all these items. I didn't use them. No, I thought I had one more turn. Start over.
Well, we should all start over together next week with some new topics, maybe some actual time to play games. Ha ha.
Hear about your new toy?
Do you think it'll show in time? I don't know.
I was going to ask you that if you had any idea of.
Well, we'll talk about it if it shows up.
There we go.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know how fast the shipping is. We'll find out. It was free. There was an expedited option for $20 more. I said, nah, I'm good. I got enough to do.
I can wait.
Yeah.
That seems fair.
Right? Seems fine. Well, until then, if I should have gotten the expedited shipping, where should people tell me that?
They can send that to podcast@wewergamers.com. That's the official email there where we check. And
I'm going to interrupt you. Yeah, I'm going to interrupt you.
What?
In this world that we are going to march into all together, emails are a good way to get a hold of people. You know?
It's true.
Directly.
Yes.
Without having to go through other internet tubes.
Yeah. Don't rely on texting Andy or me or Michael.
Don't ever text me.
Yeah. Don't rely on that. Send an email to the podcast and know that you will be heard. So, we are also on the internet at We Were Gamers for who knows how much longer, but hey, we are for now. And follow us on the places that fine podcasts are distributed, such as Spotify and Stitcher and Apple and Google Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this podcast right now.
Breaking news.
And look out for our new website, shiftf2.com, coming soon.
Oh, yes, there we go.
Hold on. I guess you've now set a website address. Now we got to see if it's taken before somebody else takes it.
Oh, damn, that's true.
Shiftf2.com is not currently a website. I don't know if it's available. I don't know how you look up if it's available. Breaking news.
Yes.
This is Miyamoto. After consulting with Chris-san, my partner at Illumination, on the Super Mario Bros. Film, we decided to move the global release to spring 2023. April 28th in Japan, April 7th in America. My deepest apologies, but I promise it will be worth the wait.
Miyamoto tweeted this?
Yeah, from the Nintendo account.
Huh.
What was the original release date? This year?
I don't recall.
Must have been.
Yeah. I don't recall. Well,
the world is spared of Chris Pratt Mario for another year.
I don't know that it will be bad. It might be okay. I think it's funnier. The way that this came to my attention was Brandon Sheffield says, this reads like a hostage letter.
Not wrong.
Oh, boy. Well, you know what? There's so much going on. I could wait on a Mario movie, you know? Like, just don't release it till it's ready. I think Sonic 1 proved that, right? Oh,
yes.
People didn't like how this looked. Okay, well, let's just go back and do it. So, like, if internally they're like, this isn't ready. Yeah, just wait.
What's the famous saying? A game only comes out once or something. And so you should.
Yeah,
a bad game can be eventually good, but
a game only comes out once.
A bad game could eventually be good, but like a game that comes out and is good will be remembered or something. Damn it, I don't know. I ruined this completely. Anyway, totally delay your stuff until it's ready. That makes perfect sense.
Sure.
Don't put out stuff that's not ready or broken or sucks. Seems good.
ShiftF2.com is available.
Just redirect shiftf2.com to We Were Gamers.
Can I do that through? Can I register another domain through our?
I don't know, but you can definitely redirect websites.
I know I can. I just want to know if I could like go to our account and like purchase another domain that inside of our account and just forward it straight to us.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe if we're gonna keep this joke alive. Buy, connect, and manage domains associated with your website. Maybe we can. Okay. Check it out next week to see if we did.
Find out if we thought the joke was worth whatever they're actually charging for this.
Yeah. $20. That's probably worth it.
Yeah, but is it $20 a month?
A year.
Oh, a year.
ShiftF1.com isn't even owned by ShiftF1.
No, they have F1.cool.
Oh.
Interesting. Okay.
So do we need F2.cool?
That would really be gimmick infringement.
Unavailable.
No.
Okay, well, there you go then.